Are we live yet?
We are.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm not ready, so it's okay. Hello, live people.
Hello, live. Keep on.
I'll put it on, and then I will turn the audio down. So
You're tagged.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll turn it down.
And I won't turn this tablet one on until just moments before the end of time.
And I'll turn the audio down so that I can enjoy do some comments. 2 minutes.
Oh, we got one viewer, David Brewer. He's on.
All right.
Yeah, well, guess what? We got nothing. I got black screen.
You got nothing. Forgot about it. You got nothing.
Oh, man.
It's your phone.
I'm going to shut the Wi-Fi off.
I often do shut the Wi-Fi.
You're right. I got a faster signal than they do. Well, come on already. Do it.
I never could find this. This thing's so slow in here. Yours seems to work fine. I got a 4G and all that. I went through this thing the other day and it worked fine from home or fine from the office. Get out here and it's slower than heck.
All right. Now I've got a picture.
How long? How long?
Oh, 20 seconds. 26, 25. I'll go ahead and start this. No, I won't.
Career, and I felt like going back to school was the best bet.
So start off before you do anything. With my public service.
Yeah, make Johnny happy. 10 seconds.
You say go when after legal ID.
Oh, it's already doing illegal. It's building the cart. Okay, go ahead.
KCXL Radio, Fire Marshal Steve here today.
Wait, hold
What do you
on.
mean, wait?
It did fire legal on. Okay, now.
We're going to try it again, folks. Fire Marshal Steve here today with a public service announcement from KCXL Radio. One of the most important things you can have around your business or residence is access to a fire extinguisher and the proper type of fire extinguisher. Get on the internet, search the basics and classes of fires for the fire extinguisher you have. Be sure you know where it's at. Practice your fire drills and practice your fire safety. And now to set back and some easy listening here from Catfish Joe.
I'm only human after all. Don't put your blame on me. Don't put your blame on me. Take a look in the mirror. What do you see? You can see it clearer. Now you see.
Let's play a little bit of it.
'Cause I'm only human after all. And you're only human after all. Don't put the blame on me. Don't put your blame on me. Some people got the real problems. Some people like love. Some people think I can solve them.
And the entertainment there at Catfish Joe, and that song was called
Rags and Bones Man.
Rags and Bones. It sounded like it was pretty smooth.
I didn't have the microphone on there.
Well,
Rags and Bones Man.
Rags and Bones.
Called Human.
Called Human. It was kind of smooth and easy listening, and hopefully those few moments of that spectacular song will put you in the mood to tune in today to KCXL Radio. And Dave, why don't you give the listeners a phone number to call into the Steve Barnhart Show today with anything that's on their mind, and we'll see if we can help them out and provide the information that they want and need.
The number is 816-792-8258.
792-8258. You can call into the studio here. With me today, special guest Catfish Joe, and he is the cool DJ of the Cool DJ Company. Is that correct?
I am.
He is, okay. For all your sound and party, church events, weddings, grand openings, charity events, hey, whatever you need, he can help you out. He's helping us out on the show here lately, and he's been coming to the to the studio.
Well, since I've been on medical leave, just don't tell the people that know.
Well, I never see anybody cut and haul firewood and throw those bales of hay like you did last weekend.
Hey now. Don't be telling people that.
Well, then we have, of course, studio manager Dave here, which just gave our station ID and phone numbers. Originally, the program today, I was going to talk about drones and drone technology because it is a very, very big, upcoming, already here thing. And we're briefly going to hit on that because in the future we're going to get down in deep to this, and that the rise of the drones. That'll be a TV. The drones are going to conquer the earth next time.
They're already delivering packages.
They're doing it. Well, now it's the drones that are big enough for a human to actually fly in. So, we have the station owner here, Pete Chartel, coming in. He's coming into the studio here.
Yeah, he's going to sing for us. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay.
Well, I didn't have that planned today, but he's certainly welcome to do the lumberjack song.
Why would he even say lumberjack?
I don't know.
How can you think that I'm a lumberjack?
That's a new... Well, you had a plaid shirt on last week, I think.
Oh.
That's kind of a lumberjack shirt, wasn't it? That's all I know.
That's a pretty far stretch.
Well, you got to start out by, be the person. Assume the role.
But I want to know what kind of health and wealth you're bringing me today, Dr. B.
Health and wealth, first of all, we would have to know your symptoms. I know if you're like other friends and associates of mine, there's something dragging on and on with people's health and their physical and their well-being. Pete, what ails you these days, and what can we do besides prayer?
What ails me? It's the radio station.
The radio station is what ails.
Sit down and talk to Dr. B. Just sit down. Have a seat.
Dr. Boy, not a medical practitioner.
Have a seat.
Dr. B is very familiar with ongoing medical issues.
Well, because I think you've had about every one of them.
I think I've had just about every one of them.
So you've got lots of first-hand experience.
Been there, done that, first-hand experience, and I was the type that will listen to people. So, Pete, but besides giving a prayer out, which we always try to do at one point during my station broadcast here, what else can we do to help you out? We got an advertiser coming into the radio station that heard us here live on the Dr. B Show, and we have that coming up. So Miss Johnny will enjoy
Excellent.
that.
Okay.
And that's always a good step. And then I know you were feeling a little puny there for a while.
Well, still am a little bit.
Okay, well,
It's in my gut, and it's a culmination of things: worry and
well,
and not eating quite right, and not sleeping enough, and all the good things that I've done to mess myself up.
What radio engineer does sleep enough?
Well, Pete, we've talked about all kinds of possible remedies for that. But of course, when your body is in a state of depression and depressed and thought, everything else seems to follow. So detrimental health problems just pop up all around the condition of stress.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the worst single things, because stress will trigger everything else that could possibly go wrong, or at least sometimes you feel that way.
Well, and it also blots out a lot of the good things.
The good things,
which I've found, we're in Lent, which is supposed to be a great period for reflection, thinking about other people, thinking about yourselves, seeing how you fit in the world. If you don't feel good, it's pretty hard to really care about that.
It is, and when the good things seem to be so small or minimal or out of our reach. And the best thing on that, it's kind of like the book that we talked about here a few weeks ago, you are what you eat. And you also are what you think or what's on your mind at that given time, because...
Oh, so I'm a cheese pizza.
A cheese pizza, there you go. Well,
Looks like he's about to relieve some stress and go TP that new tour bus that I think Elvis is
set it up for
donate
Elvis.
to
Yeah,
us.
he's working on that
We're
out
just
there.
going to TP it.
No, this,
Of course,
this is just a symptom.
Premium.
Who gets to buy the toilet paper?
I buy the wheelbarrow size bundle, you know, on the TP. You know,
Who's cleaned the bathrooms for 26 years?
There you go. There you go. I did pick up paper off the floor in the restroom
Bless you,
last
sir.
week. One laid there for 2 weeks, and I said, well, there's two. So I picked them all up.
I'm
So
going
anyway.
to start putting some dates on them.
and little notes of lottery winner numbers, you know, but it still would probably lay there. But anyways, anyway, Pete, first thing you want to do is get off that cheese pizza, and you want to think 4 cheese pizza.
Oh.
So, you know,
Combination, come on.
and
do
you're
it
right, and you know, for gut problems, and we've heard Dr. Ron Logan discuss this, and various other doctors, and you and I have discussed that on the show many years ago. But you got to get your gut right, and if it's a leaky gut, which the medical community doesn't really follow, doesn't really endorse, or doesn't recognize the term leaky gut. And it's kind of like you get a medical doctor. He says, well, the first chiropractor, he learned a bone would pop, and we've been in trouble ever since. Well, I don't totally agree with that either, but that's the medical community. But there are problems in the gut. The first thing that you have to address with that is your digestion. So digestion. Well, anyway, your digestion is very important, because if that's not working right, it leads to all kinds of other gut problems and symptoms. And so a digestive enzyme with, you know, as many billion, I guess, as you can stand, they've got to have it up in the trillions by now. But first of all, a digestive enzyme. And then on top of that, you would look at a probiotic. And you don't want to, once you get started on these, you carry them in your pocket. You pretty much live, eat, and breathe, and digest those pills. But a probiotic and a digestive enzyme is the first introduction to gut health. And then, of course, you know, it depends on that, whether you have the diarrhea, or you're constipated, or many other. Then you work that in conjunctions. It turns out to be a formula that you'll need. Of course, if you have problems going, and when you get to be, you know, we're an adult audience here. Maybe we have some kids listening, but they need to know too, because they need to know about the poo. And I'm not talking Winnie the Pooh, folks. So, but anyway, you know, a doctor for overall health, especially a DO, which is, you know, they're well versed, better than a medical doctor on natural health, because they do believe in it somewhat. At least they believe in one. No, medical doctor now believes in maybe one vitamin. DO might believe in several, and alternative cures, and chiropractic to some extent.
I just started taking elderberry.
Elderberry?
Yeah, I just started taking that.
Well, that's a good supplement.
They're selling that at Papa's now.
You're not supposed to take that till you turn 80, are you? Elderberry? Yeah, I thought there was a time. But anyway, getting your digestion right. Then, of course, you can take all the probiotics you want, all the digestive enzymes. It's always going to help no matter what your eating pattern or style. But, of course, you also need to get into eating the right types of food, that you can digest. You go to eat a 7-course meal, I think throwing each and every food group at it, one after another, or simultaneously, could be detrimental on your health too, because your stomach's not designed to digest, you know, 20 different types of food simultaneously.
If I eat a 7-course meal, you better have a wheelbarrow.
Last time I did that, it was in Las Vegas, and it was
Probably hasn't
$800.
Oh, so that was like 2 weeks ago.
No, not that. I'm just a poor man right now. But years ago, you know, I wasn't always poor.
Pete hasn't had barbecue in ages. That's probably why he's ailing.
But anyway, Pete, I've got 2 people. Bob in my office, he had whatever's going around for at least a month. I talked with a friend of mine that sells real estate here in Kansas City. She's had it for a month. Been to the doctor 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Pete, we'll keep you in our daily
Well,
prayers.
I think we're on the right track. So.
Oh, good. I mean, you feel better already from coming in, just
Yes.
joining this
Yes.
Steve Barnhart and Joe.
Amazing program.
It's an amazing program.
You are
And
a
don't forget the
miracle
apple
worker,
pie.
Miracle
Stephen.
worker. It's like
Apple
that.
a day keeps the doctor away, so have a good slice of apple pie. That'll do it.
Like I said, we'll keep you, especially me. I'll keep you in my morning daily prayers.
Oh,
and
okay. Well,
We always
everything
do, and we
goes
do.
Likewise.
the direction you want it to go.
likewise.
We always try to work in a prayer. In fact, right now at this time on the Steve Barnhart Show, let's do a quick moment of prayer. And bow your heads, please. You don't have to close your eyes, is optional. But Heavenly Father, we come to you today. We feel blessed to be able to be in a position to have a show such as this, and by our also gracious hosts here at KCXL, Pete and Johnny. We ask for the betterment of health, and that you will help and keep us in our activities and free us from, of course, from sin. We're all sinners. Except I haven't said
we're
damn
all born
thing,
sinners.
except by saying that. But anyway, we're in the middle of a prayer. Of course, I am Abstract Steve, but we ask you, Heavenly Father, to bless us, to bless this show, to bless the listeners, bring peace upon us in this what seems to be cruel world so much of the time. Let's bless us and keep us from viruses, coronavirus, any evil that men do these days. So we ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
So, don't
So,
you feel better, listeners? After a little prayer always blesses you.
That's fine.
And of course, after you say that prayer, think about that prayer for a minute in your mind, and it makes it that much more real and probably effective.
It does.
We haven't got today
Two requests. Don't forget Steve. Dana's husband, who's getting operated on for a broken wrist.
We want to do.
And Dwayne Fields just called and said that his wife Jane is having a blood transfusion.
Oh,
So
okay.
he's going to be pre-recorded today.
That was Dana, and her. You know her last name?
Kennedy.
Dana Kennedy. Her husband has had some trauma, right?
Yeah. Well, he had a broken wrist. He had an ATV
Oh wow,
accident.
my dad did that on the sled once when he was a kid, broke his wrists. So, Dana, we want to throw our blessings and hope and prayers your way. Dwayne Fields, we will certainly miss you, but we include you today in our prayers, and especially your wife for a healthy outcome. Do we have a caller in the studio?
It's Joe's friend.
Have a friend of Joe's coming in. Is this the Super Deal clothing guy?
It is. It's I think we got. Is it Kyle?
Yeah.
Let's hear what he has. What kind of good deals Kyle's got for us and our listeners.
So I'm gonna go ahead and before he gets into it. Last week, I think it was like last weekend, there was some people. There were some people posting about this store up in here in Liberty, and it was really good deals on clothing and other materials. I'll let Kyle get into it a little bit more, but last Wednesday, right after the show here, I had stopped there, and actually I picked up a few items from there. But I'm gonna go ahead and let Kyle just kind of explain his story. His better half, fiance, kind of told me a little bit last week, and he's just a small time business owner, just trying to give good deals out to people all around Kansas City.
That's our type, and that's what makes the business community. And so anyway, Kyle will also be able to say now to his potential customers, as heard on KCXL Radio. Kyle, give us a little info about what you got going up here.
Yeah, we basically started the store about 2.5 months ago. It's called $4 Threads, and the whole philosophy behind it was to open up a clothing store that was reasonably priced. We get stuff new with tags, stuff gently pre-owned. It's a mixture of everything from women's to men's to children's. Also accessories, hats, belts, shoes. We do carry adults for the $4, children's for $2, so it is reasonably priced. And that was basically the whole philosophy. It was just, you know how you can go to clothing stores and whether it be new or gently pre-owned, it's, a lot of times it's not really affordable in a lot of people's budgets, especially children, and you know how children can go through clothes. I have a couple of my own, and it's, it feels like you're buying shoes every other week.
Yeah.
And it's just reasonably priced, and it's something that can fit anybody's budget, really. And that was kind of the whole philosophy of me, and like you were saying, definitely my better half, and she's kind of the heart and soul of it. She's up there more than I am, helping people. And that was really, like I said, that was the whole philosophy behind it, was just to really kind of help people with their budget and still be able to buy, nice clothes that look good.
Yeah, I got 2 pairs of pants and some sweatpants. Actually, the pants I have on right now, I love them. I mean,
were the holes supposed to be all through the knees like that, or
no?
That costs you a lot more.
Well, stand up and model them, Joe, since you're on Facebook Live.
But yeah, I got these. Woo! My knee about went out. But yeah, I got these pair of pants. $4. You cannot beat $4 for. I mean, I don't even think they were hardly used.
Well, I heard it sounded like the little fly on that the show was going, help me. It was your waist. And you got such a burden on that waist. I heard it crying for help.
But yeah, I got a couple pairs of pants, some sweatpants, and actually really, I spent probably 30 minutes in there just snooping around, and I was looking for
cool.
I've got Brody 2 and Ivy 4 and Julia 15. Well, I don't buy the 15-year-old clothes because I learned my lesson on that. But yeah, I was looking for Brody and Ivy, some stuff.
Yeah, them look like they're probably, haven't really been worn. But yeah, we want to get that. We want to get your name again, the name of the store.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and give your phone number out. Any of our listeners that want to take advantage of a great deal on clothing.
And tell us how they can find you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it basically the name of the store, $4 Threads. It's abbreviated $4, so it's the money sign 4 and then Threads. And we are actually located there. It's 882 South 291 Highway. The easiest way to kind of put it there is it's right next to Sally's and right by Woodchuck, and in the same shopping center as Sutherland's. Since that store's been there forever, that's probably the easiest way to put it there.
So kind of basically the southeast corner of 291 and Liberty Drive.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a driver. I forget you know these things.
Go ahead, Kyle.
And we're open 7 days a week now. Monday through Fridays. Right now, currently is 11 to 7. Saturday, Sunday is 10 to 6. And we've, like I said, we've been in business 2 months, so those times might adjust eventually when we kind of figure out the flow of, fully of that shopping center. But during the week, my fiance Kaylee, she's in there, and then the weekends, her sister Rayleigh is actually in there, and I pop in the evenings and such, and we, they do a great job. The best thing about it, I can say, is it's kind of like a treasure hunt. Every day we put more stuff out. So if you go in there and there's just not something for you, which happens at any store, maybe the next time you come in, there's going to be 20 things for you. It really varies. So.
And yeah, like if you listeners, if you go to their Facebook page and like $4 Threads, she is constant, or at least somebody, I imagine it's her, that is constantly taking pictures of new items coming in that kind of spark. And like I said, that's how I learned about it, was just happened to be a shared Facebook post.
Well, when you have time there, Joe, we'll stop on when we go to our lunch journey one day. We'll stop over by there and take a look.
I'm gonna be a customer for as long as they're open. I can't beat $4 pairs of pants.
I went into one of those shops once. As you can see, even this shirt here was about a $70 custom golf shirt, and I bought it online. It was brand new for $15. But I remember going to a shop.
Why'd you buy it so small though?
Well, I put on 20 pounds. It's my all-you-can-see and eat diet. But I went into a shop out in Grandview like that, and I found 6 golf shirts once. They all looked brand new, and I got them for like $6 a piece. So I bought like all 6 or 8 of them they had.
They weren't $4 like Kyle's store.
Will you take 3.5 cash? Do you take? Dave asked if you accept credit cards out there yet.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, credit cards, debit cards, cash. Yep.
He didn't take your card, did he?
Well, he didn't. She did.
Okay, all right.
But I got it back.
Okay.
Yeah, and we actually are coming up with a theory. So I wanted to kind of add this, where we a game plan kind of hasn't happened yet, because we still have quite a bit of inventory, but eventually we thought about doing maybe some sort of trade-in option or even purchase option in the future. For customers, and we haven't implemented that yet, but that might be a possibility in the future. And the best thing to do is, like you were saying, go to the money sign 4 and then Threads on Facebook, because that's where we're gonna we're going to put all that stuff when things like that roll out and happen. So
Awesome.
Okay, well, we appreciate you calling the show. We definitely here like to participate in local small business, and so we'll put a plug in for you. And before you sign off, give us your name and address and phone number one more time, because our listeners want to take advantage of this.
yeah, it's like I said, $4 threads, money sign 4 threads, and the number up there is 816-429-7094. And where to find us at, if you go to Facebook, you can click on the map and it'll bring you to the shopping center. But it's 882 South 291 Highway, right there in Liberty, Missouri. And it's same shopping center as Sutherland's and Price Choppers, and there's great clips in there. And we're pretty easy to find. We're kind of, how I explain it, right in the elbow of the shopping center, kind of, right where it kind of turns and elbows there. But in our sign's up, so you can see us, and I would appreciate checking it out. I think it's there's something there for everybody. So.
Well, Kyle, I'm glad you came on. Let her know that I'm very happy I got to meet her last week. I cannot wait to meet you in person one of these days, and we will definitely have you back on, and I will be back at the store very soon.
Let us know how that local small business is doing. So keep in touch, buddy. Have a good one.
Thank you guys so much for having me on. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Well, actually, I'd like to start doing that, guys. We have our show. We can actually put people interested in advertising on this show on for a small cost, very small cost, for the big name and all the recognition they would get. But
sponsor the Dave Barnhart Show for a month.
Who's Dave though?
Not Dave Barnhart, Stephen Barnhart.
They'll say, "Wow, is he cutting in on me already?"
You didn't know he was your son?
Dog.
You didn't know he was your son?
I didn't know that.
Well,
anyway, I think though, I'd like to maybe, even for no charge for small business and to stimulate the radio and the economy. Of course, we would ask the business to promote us and our show, but I think every week maybe somebody to call in for 5 minutes.
She probably got it playing on the store
to advertise the
Should have asked
small
them if
business.
they had a $4 tux.
I did see when I was there, they did actually have some suit jackets there. They did have some nice shirts they did have some ties there.
You didn't buy either one of those?
I didn't buy any one of those. You don't see them on me, do you?
No, you look like, that's the normal guy look.
But no, when I met her last week, her passion and what they were trying to do, I was like, you know what, we got to help them one way or another. We got to help them just a little bit, just get that word out.
Yeah.
And
I think we'll start trying to do that every week with a local show. Also, our hats go off out there to our buddy Jeff Cessna there at Papa's Coffee. He's one of our team players, and we love him. And then also, we want to do a shout out. I like to do that every week, to my cousins, Big D, Donald Barnhart, Debbie down in Miami, and her mom, Dora Lee. She doesn't use the door too much anymore, but I always have to call her Dora Lee, where I think every day is a party day or a vacation. And then, of course, their little dog that keeps them all lined out down there. I don't know if it's Mia or Maya. And, of course, Debbie, if you're listening, the call-in number is 816-792
8258.
8258. 792-8258 for the Little Stevie Barnhart Show is what you might say. I remember I got a picture I showed, Little Stevie Barnhart Show. A lot of my family and people that know me still call me Stevie. But Debbie and I were in a wedding together. She might have been 6. I might have been maybe 5.
yeah, like with me, but a lot of people, especially who've known me for the last decade, they know me as Fish or Catfish Joe. My grandma, it's funny. You can tell when people how long they've kind of known me. If they've known me almost all my life, they'll call me Joey. Like all my cousins and all that, they call me Joey. They won't call me Joe or Catfish.
Yeah.
My grandma, sometimes she'll call, "Hey Catfish, how you doing? How you doing, grandson? How you doing?" Or she'll Joseph Blake, and then I know I'm in trouble. And then everybody else that's known me for the last 10 years, like you, and I've known David actually a little bit longer than that. They all know me as Catfish or Fish.
Well, I got a crank call the other day from somebody that sounded just like one of your voices there. I think it was you.
No.
You would not.
I do like to do the little prank call app.
With
I did that
different-
to my ex-wife
Like Dr.
once.
Phil's voice on there or something like that.
Yeah, I did that. I did that to my ex-wife once, and it was just this little old lady. I ran out of toilet paper. Can you? And you know, and it records the reaction of them talking back, and she actually fell for it.
Well, we had a.
Ma'am, I think you got the wrong number.
This is
I need toilet paper.
It's probably been 15 years. Oh, the high's out. Also, I want to say hi to Julie Chaitlin, which lives out here, and she lives out by a little small lake here in Liberty. And I will holler at you after the show. I know I promised to call the other day. We need any more hellos out there? I know I'm forgetting some people.
Well,
Janice is tuned, I guess. She didn't respond to my hello to her, but that's all right.
That's right. Hello to Janice,
She's not
right?
worthy.
No, we do want to say a big prayer. We want to just take 2 or 3 seconds and just remember and pray for everyone affected in the tornado there in Nashville, Tennessee. You know, they do say that it's possibly going to be a little bit more of a severe weather season this year throughout the Midwest and kind of down there in the southern states.
What was interesting to me, how did the guy end up in that very large crane or whatever he was in at night when that
I'm
tornado
wondering if
hit?
they were working. I'm thinking they were, you know, it was around the clock.
Road crew or something like that. He looked like he was in a big one. He was pretty high up off the ground
Yeah.
when he saw that tornado.
And listeners, I cannot play the video because there is a few more words that I would get fined about $200,000 and probably kicked off the air for a lifetime.
Yeah, he was pretty in the moment. He had a lot of choice, well, not a lot, but several choice words that were coming out
you know
of his
what?
mouth.
If you're, let's say, 30 stories, 40 stories up in the air, and you're in a crane building a building, and you got a tornado coming through, and it's half a mile from you, I think I'm gonna probably have a few choice words and be praying and peeing and pooping my pants.
Yep. Well, I mean,
He may have had to go down there and change his britches after. Honey,
I think you
bring
did
me
that
some
in
new
this,
pants.
I think you did that in the studio last week anyway, didn't you?
I did. Don't tell nobody. Don't tell no one
Well,
that.
I thought there was some kind of a stench.
Hey.
All right, we can't talk about that stuff. Remember, we always ham it up a little bit here on the station. Well, anyway, we got the show was going to be on drones, and I'll tell you about drone. We'll get to that next, because I want to talk about the coronavirus, and not the one you get after you drink a case of Coronas. However, that could last for 2 or 3 days. Whoa, ripe. Wow. Okay, you're gonna have to settle down over there. Okay, we'll talk about ripping, but that could be a result of the coronavirus. We hope not.
Now, if I'd have played that when our friend Pete was in here, everybody would have really thought
it was
toilet paper
really
and
really feeling ill to get that, do something about that. But anyway, on drones, you know, drones are everywhere. They're going to be everywhere.
Yep.
Now they are actually delivering packages in some instances to some weight. I think next what we're going to find is, you know, we've got the big drones like a helicopter, but I believe you're going to have drones similar to what they are now. It's going to be able to fly people around, and I would imagine if you got on the internet now, you would probably find a drone big enough that you could have a little chair in it and sit there and just take off, and it might be a little safer.
Almost.
But I think that's pretty close. But drone technology goes way back to like in 1962. We had a neighbor that had an airplane, and it probably had maybe a 5 foot, 6 foot wingspan on it. But I know he paid $1,000 or just a little bit over for this remote control plane back in 1962, because as nosy as I was back then, and as a kid, I overheard him telling my dad. So they actually took off from the driveway, and he's flying it around in circles, and he's straightening it out. And then I see him really working these controls over back and forth, and he was out of range. The wireless quit working, and my dad and a guy named Don Ragland that lived by us, they took off chasing that airplane. I don't know how far away they found it, but they were actually able to go to the place where that landed.
Well, they got trackers. You know, I was watching a thing.
This was in '62, though.
Oh, well.
1962.
Hey, that was the year my dad was born.
There you go. Wow,
Now
makes
that-
me feel young.
Now they got trackers where like prisons will use them, and they can track like people trying to smuggle stuff
Oh,
in.
they're using drones for everything. And what I was getting at about my 1962 story was
Sorry.
I was just going to get into the RF. Both of us, we think of something, we don't want to forget it. But was the remote control aspect. In other words, the remote control technology, which is called RF, which we know as the people in the radio business, electronics, radio frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, now you're going to get me off into the radio frequency that I think in the trillions and trillions of radio frequencies that go through our body in a lifetime, it has to be doing something. We need to get Kevin Phillips's
Especially sitting in here.
outlet. Oh yeah, all that radiation going through us, all that. Every time I leave, I come out of here and my teeth are green. Oh,
Well, that's
they're
why he
normally-
was an
they're
alien
normally green.
yesterday.
But anyway, I got off subject, which is easy for us to do. But I was kind of leaning towards the radio control, RC hobby, radio frequency controls are pretty much the same to this day as they've always been. Just like electricity has always been pretty much the same, except when it used to be DC voltage was going to be the big thing, and AC didn't have a chance. Remember reading about that in your studies, Dave?
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so the radio control is basically you have anything that can be controlled on the other end through a radio frequency. So basically, GPSs these days, and they'll do everything. We'll talk about that too, the capabilities of drones. But most of them, they will have an electronic speed controller, ESC. They'll have an electronic circuit that controls the motor's speeds and the independent directions. So they're a little more exotic now, and the frequencies are a little more exotic. They're higher in frequency than they used to be. But you have a flight controller. You'll have a GPS module. Of course, you got to have a good battery, and battery technology is another wave of the future as well.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have some sort of antenna, so you can get the range for your radio frequency to talk back and forth to, much like your garage door opener. However, a garage door
Or
opener
like a ham radio.
only one ham radios on frequencies of 168, 433 megahertz, and on that.
Yep.
You do need a license for the ham radio.
80HQ.
Oh, there you go. Welcome, Hammer. All right,
I
that will be a big benefit. And on our survival show,
Yes.
we will get into and talk about ham radios, the benefits of having one, and how to, if you're interested in that, how to get a license.
You can talk to me because I can get you hooked up with anything ham radio.
There you go. Sounds good. That'll be a different show when I bring that up. But
Oh
anyway,
no, I wanted this show right now.
okay.
Right now.
Well, I'll finish my drone content here that I've skipped over about 6 times. But
Okay, go ahead.
Well, anyway, your drones, they have a receiver. So you're talking about a transmitter and receiver. Cameras is a big thing now. And while we're off in the camera element, I was called in to work a case that the local police department and a private detective was working on about invasion of privacy via drone. So we'd all like to go out there, especially you got some farmer or somebody. I grew up in the country. Actually, I was kind of a farmer. I had a cow, and I had brome and alfalfa and a pond and fence and hay is for horses. Well, anyway, we got a call to work this case. The problem with somebody invading your privacy with a drone is they are somewhat protected in airspace and what is designated free airspace and is not. Well, this particular drone was looking in windows. It was hovering. In fact, when the police department came out to make a report on it, the drone escorted the police out of the driveway and down the street and was right behind their window. And technically, you could end up in a lot of hot water by going out there. What we'd like to do is take the old 12 gauge there with some small buckshot, and you just like to go out there and pull. Boom.
Well, that's a big talk about like UPS starting them.
Yep.
Is they're wanting to do more like medical, but I can see it beneficial out in the middle of nowhere. I can see them old country boy farmers just bam!
And the thing is, if the drone owner,
I got me a new Amazon box.
technically they can, because it's very questionable what is legal airspace. So you could end up in the pokey by destroying one, by tampering one, by knocking it out of the air. by willfully interfering with the radio frequency and try to overlook it. But then again, it's pretty hard to prove, because if I got a drone looking in my window and I have a transmitter that is more powerful than the transmitter they have on the same frequency, I can either null their ability to control that drone, or I could bring it down if I actually was on the same frequency where I could bring it down or crash it. They also have specific ballistic type countermeasures that will throw a net out there, and it'll throw the net over the drone. Then again, if the FAA happen to be out there, they happen to be out there, and you shoot this device, however it's projected, a projectile carrying a net, and the drone lands on your property, and the FAA comes out there, they could put the cuffs on you, because it's like airspace, and a drone does realize some of the same conveniences and authority that an airplane does in airspace. So interfering with that device flying, or its path, or its radio frequency, Joe, you could land up in some pretty big trouble. But the drones these days, like I say, the technology is going everywhere. The cameras are big, big, big. And of course, if I see one outside of my window, I would imagine that I have the abilities and technology probably to make some adjustments on where that thing's flying. However, I wouldn't do anything ever that would be construed illegal or against the law. But other drones may have sensors, ultrasonic sensors, collision avoidance sensors, accelerometer they call them. It tells, like a speedometer, but it's a little bit different in the air, and it measures the speed. And then of course altimeter, what they call it, for measures the altitude. I'm not a pilot, so I'm not familiar with a lot of the jargon.
I'm not either.
But anyway, the drones out there, they're going to be more and more and more prevalent. Don't be surprised if you don't see one in your neighborhood flying around. You hope it's not sitting there hovering and looking in your window. I know when we had a high school reunion for high schools that I did not go to, Washington, Wyandotte, and Schlegel, and I did not attend any of them. However, every year I go to their reunion because I know half the people in most of those schools. I went to, out in God's country, to Bonner Springs High School. But my family and relations and brothers and cousins on both sides, everybody either went to one of those three schools.
You never went to Wyandotte?
I never did.
It's a rough school.
It was. Back then we had people from all three of those schools that I went to AVTS my last year of high school with, and then post-high we went for like another 1,280 hours after high school.
My old boss, Jerry, he graduated from Wyandotte the year Martin Luther King was killed.
They had some, activities.
He was scared. He was fighting. He said he used to have to fight people off that year.
Well, I run around with some pretty rough people from Wyandotte. Some of the toughest.
I used to.
Some of the toughest the school had old Danny Tarwater, as he's out there, was one of my good
I've
friends.
Heard of that name.
Harold Brown and Steve Squire and Paul Worley, and a ton of those people I ran with from Wyandotte High School. It was everybody was a tough bunch. So I never had to fight anybody because there was always somebody jumping in front of me to fight somebody else.
I didn't do too much fighting until high school.
Well, we then, of course, Washington, my brother and cousins, and Donald and Dennis and David and Jamie and Becky Barnhart.
It's a lot of cousins.
They all went to Washington, and then my other cousins, I know Mike and Betty Ann and Norma Lee, and several of the Bohannons went to Washington as well. But I believe we had Bohannons and Barnharts that also went to Washington, some relation, and Washington. And then, of course, Schlegel, Tommy Bohannon, we call him Little Tommy, he went to Schlegel, and I had some other relation that went there. So every year there's still people at the high school will ask me, never fails, what year were you in? I go, 74. I said, Bonner Springs. He says, I thought you went to my school. So anyway, that's kind of funny every year, and I get a kick out of it. And I got an old girlfriend there, not a girlfriend. She said she never knew I was interested. Sherry Strickland, just a cute little gal, and I had several girlfriends from all three of those high schools, including the AVTS nursing school that was in the same building.
You're just Mr. Popular.
Well, I mean, what happened, man, I got this, white hair. What if what happened? My stylist put all this white in my hair and just let it grow back the good thick
Starting
black.
to look like Trump there.
Well, it's got a little wave going. When it gets longer, my hair looks like it's shorter because it falls down.
You know what you should do?
What's that?
You know what's coming back?
What?
Mullets.
Mullet, huh?
You should do a mullet. Now, I couldn't pull it off. Cause just thinking like Dr. Phil with a mullet. Bald head on top with long? Nah.
Oh, yeah, that would be there. That used to be, well, I think they wore it that way because they didn't have any other way they could wear it other than a mullet. But Trump they had a picture of him out there in the wind, and all the hair was blown off one side. It was about 2 feet long on one side. And then he grabbed that and he kind of did this swirl like that, like 3 times, and then he kind of puffed it, they hairsprayed it, but I saw a couple eyeballs in there, like I told you last. There was something living up in there.
I bet. I bet there is.
And I think it moves every once in a while, and it kind of moves the front part of the hair like that. But you'd think, if there was anything to hair regrowth or transplant or something like that Donald Trump would have it. So that's telling me right there that none of that stuff probably works very well.
Probably not.
I mean, of course, a billionaire. He's probably nothing but a thousandaire on paper. What do you think? Has he got any money? You think he's got any money?
Yeah, I bet he's got a few dollars.
He's got a few dollars.
He's not broke. I'll at least say that.
He's not up in the upper echelon like some of those guys. Speaking of that, like Bloomberg, little Mike Bloomberg, I've had it up to here with him. Well, he's like 3'11", 4 foot tall.
Something like that.
Mike Bloomberg, yeah. He talked a good story. He was a businessman. I did like what he had to say.
I can't believe you dropped out, though.
Yeah, we just heard that here. If you haven't heard, folks, little Mike Bloomberg dropped out of the races, and I think that's after, $140 million probably now, because I heard 130 some. But 140 million, of course, if you're a multi-billionaire, that's just chump change, really. And hopefully he wouldn't think twice about it. And maybe just like to see himself on TV or hear himself.
They were coming pretty hard on him. A lot of protesters.
They were. I did like what he had to say for the middle class. I did like what about a good health program, because just like myself, regardless of being the staunch Republican that I am, I was Democrat until Ronald Reagan took office. But either one of those, I don't take it. It's not a life or death situation to me. Who gets to be Republican, Democrat, Independent, or whatever? I'm going to vote for the person I think's best for me and best for the country. And I know Obamacare saved my life because I couldn't get insurance. I was high risk. I was paying about $1,450 a month insurance 6 or 7 years ago, and I couldn't go without it with all my medical conditions that I had. And so anyway, Obamacare came along, and also I was unable to work there for a while and didn't have much of an income, much like now. And I was the Affordable Care Act saved my life, because about 3 weeks after I qualified for it, I went to KU, and you know what my bill was at KU?
There's no telling.
240,000 plus. Who's that?
Joy.
Oh, we have Joy on the phone?
Oh, we got a young, beautiful lady on the phone.
Hello?
Hey, I just wanted to tell you that I had to tune out earlier, but when I tuned back in, you were on an interesting topic. Mullets.
Oh, there you go. That grabbed him. Grabbed somebody, huh?
Yeah, one time I won free tickets to go see Bill Ray Cyrus, and he was kind of cute. He didn't do a great show, but he was sure cute. He wore a mullet.
Yeah, he did back in the day.
It was a fake one.
Oh, real. Come on. He doesn't do a bad, gosh, what is that? Boy, I'm having, it's almost there. It's the St. Louis guy who died about a year ago who wrote it. He did the best job. I can't remember right now. What's it called? It's a Christmas song.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Written by the black guy. What was his name? Oh, gosh.
MC Hammer?
No. He's from St. Louis. David Brewer knows who I mean. It's the guy who did Johnny Be Good.
Oh, Chuck Berry.
Yeah, Chuck Berry. What is his Christmas song? Have a little...
Run, Run, Rudolph.
Yeah, Billy Ray did a pretty darn good job of that on a live LA TV show.
Yeah,
I saw
I've heard
about
that before. Yeah, that's
7
not bad.
years ago. He was pretty good. I'd give him number 2. I'd give Chuck Berry number 1.
By the way, tomorrow
As
the
far as
Hallmark
North
Dream
Show, I
Book
think
gets revealed.
Billy Ray pulled it off about the best in the recent era. I don't know if it's going to look good on you, Steve, but you should give it a shot.
You know, I may do that. I was thinking about putting a little color, since I'm a single young man again. I'm thinking about maybe my ex girlfriend or fiance. She said she'd leave me if I colored my hair again, but you know she's gone. And so
There you go. You're free game now.
I might just touch it up a little bit so it doesn't shine as much when I'm behind the camera.
Do a little color to it. Go down to the country bar and do a little two-step to some achy breaky heart.
Or I could do country music singers have always been a real close family.
Question regarding color as a colorist.
Color
I think you should start with lavender.
Lavender,
Just
yes.
Just a little lavender on the temples.
A little lavender for relaxation purposes.
There you go. It can be real lavender oil scent, and that'll get the girls too, because they'll feel like they want to just stay on your shoulder and see how it works.
I'm all over that, yeah.
It'll be all over you.
Whoa. I couldn't handle the prosperity.
All the attention?
All the attention, yeah, that too.
That's why, I just gotta stay single. I'm so famous.
Ready to get married, Steve. I heard you were single Steve about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's me again. SS, member of the member of the KCXL Boys Club.
Singles Club.
Singles Club, yeah. We have
Steve Barnhart is the only married guy around there, I think.
well, Dwayne Fields, but we said a prayer for his wife earlier. But yeah, Dave and Fish and myself, and who else did we recently induct into our singles club?
I think,
I'll probably go get some coffee.
I don't know.
There was one other person we got last
Wasn't
week.
it Kevin?
Kevin we inducted in, yeah.
Yeah, he likes being single, I think.
He likes being single. He's too much into that conspiracy theory stuff, and too much studying, and keeps his mind busy. You don't have time for that stuff.
Study makes Jack a dull boy kind of thing. Yeah.
As I wrote that once, and I typed it, it makes Jack a dill boy.
Well, dill is actually quite an excellent herb, and it's perfect in scrambled eggs.
Well, I've been called dillweed.
An omelet party?
Yeah, just like they did in that crazy movie. Gosh, what was that called? Poor Boys Swank.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a big heyday on omelet parties. But by the time the guy who was the star of the show got the dough to do an omelet party, nobody wanted to come to an omelet party anymore. Do you remember that?
Very seldom.
The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, we could bring things like dill, rosemary.
Well, we will talk about that in the future. We need to get on here, though. I want to at least say something about the coronavirus and sorts before we get off today, so we can have an informative
and then get
show
back on the drones.
Then we get back on. Well, the drones is going to be I just wanted to do a teaser on the drones because that's going to be something that's here with us big time forever.
Yeah, it will. It's not going away.
Well, I saw drones in California that looked like dragonfly, and what was the other one? A hummingbird drone.
I saw one that a prank. Somebody made a drone and made it look like a spider and was going to the parking lots at night and landed on
I
down.
saw on Facebook a great big. It was scaring the heck out of people.
Yeah.
There were people looked like Fred Flintstone trying to take off.
They pooped their pants too.
Oh yeah, it was. But anyway, Joy, thanks for calling in. We're going to get back to the subject here on that. We'll catch you next time on the rest of that.
Suggestion regarding the coronavirus disinfecting things, because I'm using vinegar with lavender and I'm using bleach as needed.
Yeah, right now's the time to buy.
Well, just don't drink too much of it.
I'm trying not to even breathe it much, but it's not toxic to use the vinegar with lavender.
Right.
Them stockholders at bleach or
just general disinfectant, should do the trick on this. But
yes.
I'm not an expert. But I'm going to introduce to our listeners here. This is just a little bit on the coronavirus. Now, I spoke with a friend of mine. We did. Bye, Joy. We'll talk soon. Anyway, I spoke with a friend last night in, where's he at? Over in the Philippines. He says, well, very little of the virus, people are doing anything about it over there. They're not too far from South Korea, which they're taking it very seriously. And he said there's been many people come down with that, and some of them, it's killed a lot of them. So anyway, in other countries, this is becoming a bigger deal. But the coronavirus is a kind of common virus. It causes infection in your nose, your sinuses, and upper throat. And coronaviruses have been around for quite a while, but most of them aren't that dangerous. However, this new strain is taking people's lives, and more prominently, in people of elder age like Dave. But that woke him up. But in early 2020, after a December breakout, which was in 2019, the World Health Organization identified a new type, and that's what we have now, coronavirus, and it can be fatal, of course.
But the thing of it is, there's so many other ones back in the day that had like H1N1, and you had like the bird flu,
pneumonic plague. I mean, the black plague. We've always had something that's going to wipe out mankind and the population forever.
Yeah.
And of course, to some extent, a lot of them were just so minor. They kind of come like a fad or a clothing change, and then other ones, of course. And if you get to the conspiracy theory of things, you think a lot of this stuff is, they haven't tried to link it. I talked a little bit about it to the 5G network, and a lot of the conspiracists are saying a lot of bad stuff about this new 5G network, but it just so happens over there in China they had put up like 130,000 access points, and then of course this virus popped up about simultaneously. Then you have everybody in the world with a conspiracy theory for this or for that. But the new one's called COVID-19, and it moved, from China, and then it moved around the world fairly quickly, but not in the painstaking detail that they're broadcasting. But it's something to look out for, and it spreads through person-to-person contact, and the symptoms show up basically not immediately as soon as somebody sneezes on you, but it can be from 2 to 14 days after the exposure. And
you know what the new handshake is, right?
It's the elbow bump, isn't it?
Bam.
There you go. What's that big sore on your elbow? Oh, I got one right here. I cut myself.
That's my elbow.
Okay. But, a lot of this stuff, a lot of people may think it's the... No, there's no. A lot of people may think it's a common cold. Because you got the fever, you got the cough, you got the shortness of breath. The infections range, all the way from mild to serious, depending on who you are. Like with any person, to each their own. But it can turn deadly if it leads to pneumonia, of course, respiratory failure, or septic shock. Any of those can be. But most people at risk are the elderly and people like, Dave's age. Dave, you about 90 now?
Yeah, I can still rock with the best of them.
Okay, there we go. That was a low
When
one.
I go into 08.
So,
we can if you want, but I got to know now.
but we can go to that. I think the listeners are interested in this, and of course, some of it to get down to earth and the exact science and theories on the coronavirus. We'll delve as news people. We need to delve into this a little bit more. But elderly people or weakened immune system. So if you got a weakened immune system, you're out in the big city or you're out anywhere, I may consider, putting one of those masks on as well. And you see people with them now, it's much more accepted. Say 5 years ago, you saw somebody with a mask, gee, what's he got? And you walk the other way.
Yeah.
Now you see somebody, you're just kind of looking at them, making sure they're pale or they're not coughing or sneezing or their eyes are bloodshot.
I usually wear a mask, though, when I'm mowing.
If you have allergies and things that buzz you and dust. When I was a kid, my dad had a cabinet shop, and I couldn't go to the cabinet shop because the dust would bother me for the next 2 weeks. My eyes and throat would be scratchy. But coronavirus, like I say, they go way back, as I mentioned, clear back to the 1960s. But we don't really know the origin, so I don't think they might have some theories on how it derived or came to be, but I don't think they're really sure where it comes from. And they get the name from their crown-like shape. Of course, you really can't see them unless you know what you're looking for and you have a fairly powerful microscope. But I think they're pretty big, as far as their physical attribute compared to other viruses. But most of them spread the same way, like cold-causing viruses do, through infected people, of course, coughing, of course, sneezing, by touching a person infected their hands or their face, hence the elbow bump. They'll be having arm sleeves next, and next time you just nod at somebody. A nod might be the safest, but it can get on things such as doorknobs that infected people have touched. Of course, there is a certain thing to keep aware of. There is what they call not a shelf life, but contagion life on you sneeze. How long before that goes down, hits the ground. Some viruses, they say, it'd be, 10 feet. Then, of course, you have the living virus. Once it would be from a infected person's hand to when they touch a doorknob. How long is that actually going to, remain, in a volatile stage like that where you can catch it? And, of course, I know heat plays an important, or I've been told that heat plays an important role in killing the coronavirus. And I've been told from people, actually directly from China, hot drinks. So I would think a hot herbal tea or hot something.
They drink a lot of hot tea.
And that could actually kill the virus. And of course, I know of my own personal hygiene, the only time you've ever seen me touch a door handle is when I have to get in a place. But then I only use maybe my thumb and third finger. I won't touch it with my first two because you're less likely to touch your face or your nose or your ear with your third finger. You would be. And then, of course, I'll try to wash my hand. Leaving a business, back of your hand, your elbow, your body, press on the door
foot.
To get at your foot, something like that.
Like when I go to the restroom, the paper towels, and I almost do this all the time. The paper towels, when you dry your hands off, I'll use that to open the door up and then throw it away.
I've never heard you turn the water on.
Don't call me out on that.
Call you out on live. Oh, is this thing live? But anyway,
No, we're just talking to ourselves.
We are. Shut up. Who, me? Yeah, you? More wine. I'm a schizophrenic, and so am I.
Yeah, you are.
I still am. I've done this all before. Okay,
Help me.
Help me. Let me out of here.
I want coffee.
I used to do a ventriloquist act where I did that. Let me out. Let me out of here. Anyway, I'm not any good at it anymore, so I don't do it.
Your lips keep moving, don't they?
Well, if you're on the radio, it don't matter too much unless they're watching you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Bill Clinton pops up, where'd he come from all of a sudden? Well, if you're on the radio and you're not broadcast here, how they go, just how are they going to know that? See what I mean? You was looking at me and I had you fooled. But anyway,
I thought Bill was right here with us.
He was live. Well, anyway, I'll have to do now some of the other people. Depends on who's going to be president. If I start on him early this time, I'll have him down. But
he's going to have to do a legal ID in probably any minute now.
Any second.
Any second. Well, Dave, you let us know because we want to make sure our station break. KCXL Radio, 1140 AM, 102.9, 104.7 here in Liberty, Missouri.
We got to say KCXL Liberty to make it legal.
KCXL Liberty, Missouri, or just Liberty, huh?
Just Liberty.
Okay.
All right, and then anything you say after that is all right. All right, good. We're good for 7 more minutes.
We're good for 7 more minutes, folks, and then we're going to bring, who's coming on after us? We'll pipe in here.
The Power Hour.
The Power Hour will be next. Of course, not near as relevant as Steve Barnhart and Friends with Catfish Joe and Dave and Pete's in the other office.
Am I your friend?
Could you be my neighbor?
Will you be my friend?
That was a good show. I watched that about Mr. Rogers.
Did you watch the new movie?
I watched the movie. I loved it. Tom Hanks, of course, is he's the best. And
he pulled it off.
Oh, he did it, and that I bet you he really enjoyed doing that movie.
Oh, I bet he did
because he was so fit for it. And I think, probably in real life, I don't know for sure. We could all be fooled, but I bet there's a little bit of Mr. Rogers in Tom Hanks.
Well, he did watch it, and I guess he spent a year prior to filming it. He spent a year studying Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, you could tell that he put his heart and soul into that. And I know he's going to be nominated, if not win, some special awards for his portrayal of Mr. Rogers.
I couldn't get my 4-year-old to watch it. Ivy, I could not. She did not want to watch it.
Well, you had to get her in. That could be, to certain kids, that could be a little off cuff, the way he comes across, until they get in there and see his genuineness and who he really was. And I remember watching it. Even as an adult, I got a kick out of watching it now and then, to go back just on how he would relate to people and the kids and introduce his characters, and how much he really got into playing all those different characters. Just a genius on that. Well, anyway, we were going to talk. We'll talk about him another day too. But on coronavirus, more information. Almost everybody gets some sort of coronavirus infection once in their lifetime, and you're a lot more apt, not the one that's going around now, but what they used to term or deem the phrase coronaviruses, plural. That's been around, like I say, since they first discovered it in the 60s. But generally, you had some sort of coronavirus where you were a child, and they're most common, like most flus. They're most common in the fall and the winter, but you can actually come down with the flu or a type of coronavirus at any time during the year. So I bet that's something. I didn't know that, originally, but you tell somebody probably had, there's a good chance you've had a coronavirus, but not the coronavirus that people are most prone to know and can relate to at this time. Mm-hmm. But on past severe coronavirus outbreaks, like in the Middle East, about 850, 900 people have died from MERS. You've heard him say that. That's Middle East respiratory syndrome, or when you hear him say MERS, that is the coronavirus there. And it first appeared over in Saudi Arabia, and then other Middle East countries, Africa, Asia, Europe. And I think back in 2014, the first American was hospitalized for MERS in India. Or no, was it Indiana? No, in the United States. Indiana. And another case was reported, I think, in Florida. And both had returned back. They had actually probably caught it in Saudi Arabia. But in May 15th, there was an outbreak of MERS in Korea, which was the largest outbreak outside of the Arabian Peninsula. And then Peninsula. Like when my mouth gets dry, but we're not allowed drinks in the station anymore.
Then why'd you bring all that barbecue in here? You better not tell Johnny.
Well, we haven't stepped in it yet. Neither have we ate it. But that, and the drinks, and the fountain drinks, and the pop, the water didn't look too good on the microphone, but we can fix that, no problem.
Oh yeah.
So, and then of course we got a few more minutes. We're doing some overtime here because, backed by popular demand, we were asked to carry over a little bit so we could further discuss the coronavirus. Now they have the one you've heard of, the MERS. Well, they also had the SARS. I'm not talking like a king. I'm not talking like a king or a czar. It's the SARS. That's the severe acute respiratory syndrome, and that's back. Remember that come out back.
Yeah,
close to 20 years, early 2000s. About 750 people had died from that, and 2 years later, there was no further outbreaks. So it does get you wondering how something that severe, of course we get with our buddy Kevin to talk about conspiracy theories and viruses and, the death count. We've got a couple of minutes left, folks.
Well, we'll get Jeffrey Jewell back on one of these days. And
well, speaking of Chief Jewell, we didn't give our shout out to the Inner City Fire Protection District.
What would you have done without me?
The most professional and well-equipped and fire district in the state of Missouri, of course.
Of course.
And then Chief Jeffrey Jewell, we'd like to mention, a stellar fella, and we are behind him. They are needing a new chief of police at the Blue Springs School District. So if anybody knows anyone out there, I highly recommend Chief Jewell, which is actually the sergeant in charge. And, Blue Springs School District's got a fair-sized police department. Mm-hmm. These are sworn officers in the state of Missouri, just like any police officer or deputy sheriff would be in any city or county.
Deputy Catfish.
Deputy Catfish, you do.
There you go.
I think Eddie Blecka was a deputy Catfish. People say,
I could be a deputy.
You could be. You could be a deputy, especially with your knowledge of the routes and the back and travels and how to get from point to point as a professional UPS driver.
Yeah, we're almost like NASCAR drivers, just getting in boxes.
Well, you can also go to work for Myers Dairy.
There you go.
The way you milk the UPS system, you can become a milkman. Hey, we got 30 seconds, folks. We're chiming out with some music keyed up here. As always, Dr. B, crew, Catfish, Dave, and the KCXL family wishes you the best. We love you. Thanks for listening.
Tune in next Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 11. We want to thank Kyle down there at the $4 store there in Liberty, Missouri. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for Jeffrey Jewell for all the services you do.
And stay safe, folks, and keep it out of the ditches. That doesn't sound good about Dwayne Fields' wife.
No blood transfusion.
That don't.
Well, she's got the big Sieg in the clinic.